Hello everyone and welcome back to Doctor Who Month. I decided as a part of the festivities, each week of November I'd review a Doctor Who anniversary special, starting with the most recent one and working my way back. This of course means, as you can probably tell by the title of this video, that today I'll be reviewing Day of the Doctor, the 50th anniversary special starring Matt Smith, David Tennant, Jenna Coleman, and the late great John Hurt. For a little background, the pre-production of this special was kind of a mess. I mentioned in a previous video where I talk about this in a little more detail called 5 Cancelled Doctor Who Anniversary Specials that almost no one from the series was initially signed on. Jenna Coleman was literally the only one signed on for this special originally. Not even Matt Smith. I guess they hadn't been thinking about a 50th anniversary special when they made up Matt Smith's contract. Steven Moffat did come up with an idea just in case it literally was just Jenna Coleman, but luckily other people came back as well. This special was constantly changing in pre-production between who was in it and what the story was surrounding those characters. And keeping that in mind, it's really impressive how good this is. Like, we're probably in the best possible timeline in terms of how this could have turned out. Maybe there's an alternate Earth where Christopher Eccleston decided to come back and the special ended up slightly better, but really, in the words of the Gershwins, could you ask for anything more? Before I get into the review, I should probably quickly address the War Doctor. The War Doctor was created basically as a replacement for the Ninth Doctor when Christopher Eccleston declined to return, and to give a good twist of an ending to the name of the Doctor. A lot of people complain that Moffat didn't immediately decide to bring back Paul McGann when Christopher Eccleston said no, and decided instead to add another Doctor to the canon of the show, but Paul McGann wouldn't have worked nearly as well. That's not an insult to McGann, it's just that a lot of the humor and character moments of the special come from the older looking, more serious and traditional War Doctor bouncing off the young looking, more lighthearted 10th and 11th Doctors. Paul McGann wouldn't have worked like that, he would have just been more of the same. Plus the ironic twist of the Doctor taking younger forms as he gets older somewhat in order to forget the Time War would have been completely lost. So yeah, I'm Team War Doctor for the win. So the special. This is Doctor Who. There are few Doctor Who stories more Doctor Who in all the best ways than this one. Sure, there are a few things that feel like they're put in just for the callback, like Clara conveniently teaching at Coal Hill, and some other little references like the Fez and the machine that goes ding, which technically isn't a reference, but is close enough to the device in Blink for it to feel like it. But they're so small that the fact that this is a big 50th anniversary special makes them almost feel earned. So chances are you've probably seen this multiple times and know the plot, and even if you haven't, I don't want to spoil it for you, so I'm just gonna list off a bunch of parts of this special that were really good. So the opening. The opening is downright cinematic in its scale, its cinematography, the titles, and the music. And this does make sense. This episode was screened in cinemas, it at least looks like it had a larger budget, and it's a full 75 minutes long, nearly feature length. This is pretty much the closest thing to a theatrically released canon Doctor Who movie. The moment. Steven Moffat has been a controversial figure in the world of Doctor Who on more than one occasion, but generally he's been pretty good at coming up with new and interesting concepts for the show, even if it's just small sci-fi concepts that take up a sentence to explain. Statues that move when you're not looking, monsters you forget about when you look away, an alien race invades Earth by making it seem like they were there the whole time. And I think the moment gets overlooked by fans just because of everything else going on in the story. Just the idea of a weapon that's incredibly dangerous but has never been used because it has a consciousness that kind of talks you out of using it is absolutely genius. It almost gives the story a Christmas Carol sort of vibe. You have lost your way, Doctor, so I am an apparition here to show you what will happen if you make this mistake. That kind of thing. Respect to the canon. Doctor Who has a long and complex canon even when you don't factor in the dubiously canonical extended media like books and Big Finish and comics. So when Moffat is able to take stuff like the Zygons and the Time War and weave them all together while both sticking to the current canon and expanding upon it, it's pretty darn impressive. For example, Chibnall and even RTD have sort of just gone a little bit loose with the canon in the past to serve the story. And that's fine. But the attention to detail we get here makes it. Just as an example, the end of time showed the Time Lords meeting in the last days of the Time War. This episode doesn't ignore that and just assume the fans can work it out when the Time Lords meet a couple times. So it's explained in 1 or 2 lines that meeting is happening pretty much downstairs. And they also don't talk about it endlessly to over-explain it and practically look at the audience and say, "Look, we're explaining continuity." Lastly, the themes. Oh my god, the themes! The themes in this episode are amazing. There are so many great themes about how this will affect the Doctor and how things that we kind of took for granted about the 10th and 11th Doctor are actually directly resulting from the Time War. Who knew the reason the Doctor became younger was actually a midlife crisis? There are 1 or 2 times where the message trying to be put across is basically said out loud by the Doctor, which isn't really my cup of tea. I'd rather have the messages just hinted at enough that the audience realizes what's going on as it's almost done happening, but it's not a big deal. The fact that all these character moments were woven in seamlessly is just incredible. This episode is regarded by some as the best Doctor Who episode of all time, and watching it again sort of reminded me why it's my favorite show. The writing is great, the acting is great, the cinematography is great, and if every special I review this month is like this, it's gonna be a pretty good month. So what comes after this? What's the 40th anniversary special? Scream of the Shalka? Alright, I'll check it out. If it's an anniversary special, it's probably pretty good, right? Anyway, thanks for watching, and leave me a comment letting me know what you think of Day of the Doctor. Subscribe for daily videos on the franchises you love, including 3 Doctor Who videos a week in the month of November, and I'll see you tomorrow. Bye.